Hello again, it's Lock Noob, and I have a horrible lock. This is the Cisa, or is it Cisa, Astral, an Italian lock, and this was sent to me by Talan Pick in Spain, but clearly locks travel. And yeah, I just do not like picking these locks in particular. Well, I do. It's a love-hate relationship, isn't it, with locks? Because when you've got a lock which is just tough, whether it's a normally easy lock, which just has really extreme bitting, and or whether it's just a horrible lock with lots of security features, you get that kind of love-hate relationship, don't you, between like really enjoying picking it and then like struggling to get there, and then you kind of get that amazing sense of victory when you finally get there. This Cisa Astral is one of those locks where it's a love-hate relationship. It's a really satisfying pick when you pick it, but it's actually like made really well, with some excellent security features, and it just makes sort of picking it an incredible and, well, inconsistent challenge. One key thing here, and this is very similar to the Apex Extra class, is that you need a curved Dimple flag to be able to get right down past this warding. It's actually quite extreme warding for a Dimple lock, which are often a little bit more open than this. And I don't use curve flags very often at all, but I have this multi-pick one, and which is the part number. It's the Elite Pro G Pro 09. So yeah, that's the thing, and yeah, it's been absolutely instrumental to me being able to pick this lock. Talk about picking it. Should we throw in advice and actually pick the thing? All right, see you in a little second. Okay, so all viced up. Going to have to use some reasonably moderate tension on this. Want to try to make sure that I underset, not overset the pins, because they are sort of T-pins and they will overset very easily. Pin 2, little click. Pin 3. Pin 5 there. Pin 4 now. There we go. Time to click on pin 3. That was a click on pin 6, I believe. So let's go through pin 1 now. Little click on pin 1. 2 seems fine. 3 seems fine. 4. 5 now. Back to 6. Oh, not quite. 1. There we go. 2. 3. 4. 5. Okay. Back into a full set on pin 3. Pin 1 now. There, a little click. Pin 2 of overset, I can feel it. Just let that come back up. It's pin 1, pin 2, 3, 4, pin 5, pin 6 seems fine now. Okay, must be somebody at the front. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So is it pin 3? So I go pin 1, 2, I'll click on 3, 4, 5, 6. Everything feels set, but it's clear that something's underset or maybe overset. So we just have to go through the lock. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. What we can do is we can lighten the tension and tap the front of the lock to see if I can let any pins which are overset be pushed back up into the keyway. Doesn't always work, but it's worth a go if you get stuck on a lock. And we're open. Look at that, that's pin 2. Probably the fastest I've actually picked this lock. Absolutely not going to deny that. I think sometimes when you're picking locks on camera, you can make these locks seem a bit easier than they really are. But the truth is, this lock has been kicking my bottom left, right, and centre for quite some time now, and I actually rate this lock extraordinarily highly. Yeah, I'm not even going to deny it. I actually really think this is a good lock. In terms of gutting it, then it's just a right pain to do, truthfully. And I actually have a little bit of shim, and this is some, oh, for some reason it's not focusing very well. This is some 0.2 mil feeler gauge, and I think it will sort of slide down here if I hold it right, and it does work-ish. At least I'm going to try. It's a bit, yeah, it's a bit easy to bend and break, but let's try it. Okie dokie then. Yeah, just check, because we have some passive pins at the top. We also have our driver pins there, so I want to turn it this way up. Actually, I don't. Oh, how do I want to do it? I probably want to do it like straight up, don't I? Alright, let's try that. And then keep that over here. Alright, let's give it a go. Wish me luck. If it all goes wrong, at least you know I picked it right. Right? Just want to do it with the shim in, if it's possible to do that. Oh, already lost a pin. That's okay. Let's do it like this. Right. Right. Okay. Where did that pin come from? This is pin... Ah! Okay. Okay, so that was actually a pin number 1, because that was steel, and this is pin number 3, which is brass. Do you know what? Let me disassemble this by speeding up, and I'll come back to you, alright? Okay, so you can see why this lock would cause people trouble. Let me just make sure you can focus on that and you can see what I'm seeing. You can see why it's going to give people trouble. So you can ignore the fact that these are steel pins. That's obviously some anti-drill protection. But if you look at this type of spool, you can see that they act like little T-pins. And so they don't have a beveled edge, but they will absolutely drop into the keyway and block it. So pins 1, 2, and 3 and 4 are all of these little T-pins. Now, the pin you have to set the deepest, and whether it's by accident or design, it's also almost like the hardest pin to pick in here. This is like a dumbbell spool. So it acts like a small T-pin, and then you've got a wider part which acts as a spool, and then you actually have the middle of the lock. So you have to sort of get past all three things before you can finally set it. So you start out in the middle, you then have counter rotation, then it slowly sets to this little nub at the end, and then you like traps it like a T-pin, then you have to finally set that one, and then the last pin is like mercifully a standard pin, and you can actually see the wear on the pin just at the bottom where it's a little shinier there where I've been picking. So it doesn't need to be set very much, does it? So that's the movement. You can actually see some small pin wear just from me picking it, which just shows you that, you know, picking locks does cause a little bit of wear. Now look at the key pins. They are absolutely the same. Pins 1, 2 and 3 and 4 are like these little T-pins, which means that they will well, so I think the drive pins will underset and the key pins will overset very, very readily. You can imagine pushing those happily up into the Bible, and it'll just rest on these little T-pins, and you have to let go of the tension or tap the lock and let these fall back down if they want to. And then a standard pin, thankfully in the spool position, which is the only mercy, and then finally this other T-pin, T-pin, there you go. So yeah, pretty horrible, and pretty good bitting if you can look at this, because you have some pins, sort of pins 1 and 3. You don't really need to set that much. 1, 3, and 6, or pins 2 and 4 are sort of a midway, and then pin 1 has to be set very high, and that's the one with the sort of T-pin spool thing going on there. So yeah, really, really, really well thought out lock. I'd like to say I enjoy picking the Cisa Astrals, but they quite often need a deep curved hook, flag to pick, and it's just a right pain. These are passive pins. They are used for key control. There's 1, 2, 4 of them. Technically, if you put the tensioner in badly, or you pick them really high by accident, then they might hold up the lock from being picked. I'll tap one of these out and you can see what they look like. I'll put them all back in later, but there you go. They just look like just little pins, nothing too exciting, and they're there to get trapped up in the top of the lock. Where are we? There. If a key is inserted which doesn't have the dimples cut out for them to fall into. So they're passive, because if you leave them alone, they don't affect the picking at all. But if you put in the wrong key blank, then they will get themselves trapped up here. Possibly if you pick them high as well, but it's unlikely actually, come to think about it. So there you go, that's the horrible Cisa Astral, which reminds me very much of the Abus Extra Class lock for that matter. And yeah, I'm just glad I managed to pick it on camera finally. Okay, thanks all for watching, and I'll see you all next time.